Bolanle Fadairo. Good morning, sir. Mr. Fadairo, you've got two charges on the docket. They are both first-degree felonies, first-degree felony murder charges. I do find there is sufficient probable cause for both of these cases to go forward. They're both going to go to the 482nd. That's going to be Judge Maritza Antu. Will you need a court-appointed lawyer from Judge Antu? Would you like the help today of Attorney Carlo Torres from the Public Defender's Office? Now, I neglected to mention you do also have a third-degree felony charge of tampering with physical evidence. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause for all three cases to go forward. The two murder charges and the tampering with evidence charge, which I believe has to do with the allegation that you erased text messages from your phone between you and the decedent, Mr. Essien. Ms. Green, what's the state's request on bond, please, for Mr. Fadairo?
Yes, Your Honor. One moment. I'll pull up the case. For the murder case ending in 885, the state has filed a motion to deny bail due to the defendant being a convicted felon charged with a deadly weapon offense. And we are requesting to refer the issue of bail to the trial court. For the murder case ending in 886, the state is requesting for bail to be set at $250,000, and that is the felony murder charge. And for the tampering, $100,000. The state is opposed to pretrial release bonds in all three cases, and in the murder cases, opposed to pretrial release bonds. Pursuant to Section 1703 of the Code of Criminal Procedure and Executive Order GA-13, we are asking for no contact with any member of the decedent's family or household, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons or firearms, for the defendant to be placed on 24-hour house arrest with GPS monitoring, and for his travel to be restricted to Harris and surrounding counties, as well as for the defendant to surrender any passport or travel documents. We believe the defendant to be a danger to public safety. According to the summary of facts, the murders occurred on September 20th, 2022. The assigned officers responded to investigate a shooting scene. The adult victim was pronounced deceased on scene from apparent gunshot wounds, and the officers observed fired .25 caliber cartridges nearby. The officer obtained surveillance video from a grocery store on Chimney Rock Road that depicted the victim arrive in a black Chevrolet SUV and pull onto the parking lot while the suspect walked next to the vehicle wearing a sweatshirt and black shorts. The officer observed that the victim got out of his vehicle in the parking lot and appeared to have a verbal exchange with the suspect. The suspect then produced a firearm and shot the victim multiple times at close range. The suspect then got into the open driver's seat of the victim's vehicle and fled the scene. The officer obtained surveillance video from a service station across the street on Chimney Rock Road and observed that the suspect initially approached the victim's vehicle in the parking lot of that location and then waved him to follow him across the street. At around 8:36 hours, the complainant's wife contacted HPD and stated that her husband and 2-year-old child were missing. Officers then located the vehicle parked in the 5900 block of Elm Street at around 19:15 hours and found the vehicle to be locked. The windows were rolled up and the engine was turned off. The outdoor temperature at the time was around 93 degrees. The vehicle was parked on a concrete city street with no shade above it. Officers immediately broke the window and located a 2-year-old victim inside the vehicle who was unresponsive located in a car seat. It appears that the child was suffering from heat exhaustion, and the child was pronounced deceased by paramedics on scene. The officer obtained surveillance video from a nearby residence, which showed the same suspect, as mentioned in the earlier video, parked beside the complainant's vehicle in the 5900 block of Elm Street. Parked the complainant's vehicle and sat in the vehicle for about 2 minutes and then abandoned the vehicle and left scene on foot. The officer did possibly identify the defendant from recent booking photos by comparing those photos to the video surveillance. The defendant was located on the morning of September 21st, which was the next day. He was found to be still wearing the same clothes as depicted in the surveillance videos. Officers conducted an interview with the defendant, read him his statutory warnings, and he waived his warnings and agreed to speak with the officers. At that time, the defendant admitted that he has known the adult decedent for about 30 years, that he uses his home address to receive mail and also works for the decedent. The defendant stated that he got into a heated argument with the decedent on September 20th at the store on El Camino Del Rey, and intentionally shot the decedent with a .25 caliber handgun. The defendant stated that the entire argument stemmed from the decedent owing him money. The defendant also admitted to stealing the decedent's car and parking it on the street. The defendant admitted that he had incriminating text messages between himself and the decedent in his cell phone detailing their disagreement about money. And he deleted those messages after he killed the defendant because he knew that they would be incriminating. We believe the defendant to be a danger to public safety, and the state respectfully requests the court to consider those facts when setting bail and conditions.
All right, very well. Mr. Fadairo, let me listen to the lawyers first, all right? Mr. Torres.
Your Honor, we're going to object to this motion to refer the issue of bail under Article 1, Section 11A. For each of the murder first-degree charges, we're going to be requesting $25 in each one, no position, and on the tampering, 15, no position. My client is 38, a lifelong resident of Houston with a stable address in the Houston area. He also has one child that he supports and cares for. He's currently earning between $1,500 and $2,000 a month through his 3 jobs, which is barber, Instacart, and an unarmed security officer. There is no one available to help him bail out. There is no money that he can raise for bail. And he does have access to transportation to get to court in the future. And that's it, Your Honor.
All right, very well, thank you. Mr. Fadairo, I'm going to set bond in each of your murder cases in the amount of $750,000. On the tampering charge, I'll set that bond in the amount of $50,000, 50.
That's the question I had about
Tampering.
Yeah, those messages were
Mr. Fadairo, are you a U.S. citizen, sir?
No.
All right, if you'll step over and see the deputies, I'll show you out. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. I do also have a bond supervision order that I'm going to issue. I want you to have, if you make these bonds, you're to have absolutely no contact with the family of Michael Essien or any other state witness. You need to stay 200 feet away from any location where any member of Mr. Essien's family resides or works. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no driving without permission of the court. Stay within Harris County. No firearms or other weapons. I do want you to get a GPS device on prior to release from the Harris County Jail. There will be a 24-hour curfew until you hear otherwise from Judge Antu. And finally, no unsupervised contact with any person under the age of 17. All right, if you'll step over and see the deputies, they'll take care of you. Good luck, sir. All right, counselors, we've got a couple of folks who didn't make it to court.